But Christianity didn't start till 300 years after Jesus.
That's not true. Christianity started with Jesus.
Okay, so basically the white. Okay, what are you saying? What are you saying?
Like as a religion.
Okay, so what are you saying? As a religion? As a religion.
Not true. I mean, to be fair,
one second, bro.
Before Christianity was called Christianity, it was actually called the Way, and it was in the homes and houses of, and you can see it in the latter part of the New Testament is the beginning of the early church. You see the church starting in Macedonia, in Cyprus.
Let's talk about Africa, bro. We're talking about Africa.
Hebrews,
Africa.
Rome, wherever.
In Africa, you're saying that if you give me
first century church fathers.
Let's say first.
Would you say religion?
The Ethiopian Orthodox Church outdates a lot of European churches.
Yeah. I know that.
It's inconvenient for your point, but
I know that. But would you say?
Remember,
would you say
Christ
religion divides people?
up until he came back to Israel, where was he? Where was Jesus Christ between when he was born and up until when he came back and started preaching in the temple? Do you know where he was?
You tell us.
He was in Egypt.
Yeah.
Christ was in Egypt.
Yeah.
So the idea that this was all like some version of.
I'm just saying to you, Christianity is not.
No, you're jumping away from this point because you're making it seem like Christ is some kind of foreign concept.
But he's not the beginning of Africa.
White people.
I'm saying okay. Let me make a bit more. I'm saying to the beginning. Okay, when we talk about everything leads back to the motherland. We say this right. Only a couple years.
You know what you said? He said something where I know where you're going to tie to about the beginning, where you said it started what year again?
What started?
You said the first century.
First century.
Yeah.
But we've existed.
Bro, we're the first.
No, I'm saying, but I'm saying we've existed like a couple 100,000 years, like 300 and something thousand apparently, or something like that.
So
300 and something.
Yeah, the human race has existed something like that.
Saying by science, by the way, obviously, by the way, listen, where's science? Listen, think about it.
By scientific
data. When we talk about, when we talk about,
I'm not going to say we're 2,000 years old.
If you want morals, right? Listen, if you want morals, you can't look to science. That's everyone else. That's a fact. If you want morals, you can't look to science, right?
Yeah.
But if you want facts, right? If you want something that you can't say that
when you're doing carbon dating and all that.
Science tells you what, faith tells you why.
So, but science has showed us that the first human comes from Africa. I don't know why they named the flipping Lucy. I don't know why you should call it Akabala or Ama or But it showed us that we're the first. We're the first. Hence why I've always said in my writing, I've always said that we're the father and mother of creation. Hence why I've always said to people when they're trying to argue with me, especially my Caribbean people, I'm like, bro, stop it, man. You come from my testicle. You do. Because when we say that. No, but when I say that.
Hey, yo, that's fighting.
No, I mean, you're my root. Like,
you come from my testicle.
You do, because you're my root. Because think about it, obviously, especially when I speak to American brothers right, on Clubhouse. When I talk to Clubhouse, right, they're like, I'm like, bro, humble yourself. You come from us. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to make them understand, what you do, you come from Africa.
You do, but you don't have to put it on them like
that. You come from my testicles.
Just stick it on them like
but because you know the stubborn, it's ignorant. But what I'm saying to you, essentially what I'm trying to say to you,
you come from a what?
Bro, essentially what I'm trying to say to you, right, is that when we talk about the beginning, we talk about the beginning of Africa.
Yeah.
You say you know about African history. Okay, I'm going a bit too deep now. But at the beginning of Africa, Christianity was not there. One can say that the story of Africa is not found in Christianity. It's not found on Jesus. The guy wasn't even born then. He wasn't. It's a fact. I'm just saying.
As in, wasn't born in Africa.
Well, yeah, obviously. No.
I'm
not saying that. I'm just saying that in the beginning of.
Okay.
What I'm saying to you in Africa.
Physically present. Yeah.
Okay, let's say that our beginning. Let's say that we grew from a low seed and Africa is rising, right? I'm just giving a little example, right? Even though there are some scrolls that actually you might think is crazy, but it talks about us growing as seeds. Maybe it's a metaphor here, but I'm just saying that Christianity is not rooted in Africa.
Okay.
Would you agree? No, I mean, it's the beginning. I mean,
The roots of Christianity are in the Middle East. Yes.
Okay, it's not from there. Okay, so I'm just so knowing that the root is from another place.
Yeah.
So what do you think was there? Okay, just follow me. What do you think was there before Christianity?
I think there were.
Is there one God or different?
I think that basically at the root of it, I think that there was an understanding between man and God, that there was something divine and he had to go and figure it out. Wait, between man and God, the human and the divine, that understanding was there. No, then every single tribe created their own origin story and created their own version of what it was to try and make sense of their surroundings. So they said this is thunder, there's a God that deals with thunder. And then some people said that there's one God and he handles everything. And then some people said everything is God, everything is everything. There was a diverse range of beliefs on the continent, ranging from animism to polytheism to monotheism, all present on the continent. Now, all I think that all of them were trying to do was trying to make sense of something that is quite complex and something that is quite tough to understand from a human perspective, right? And I just think that when you start to get man-made faiths and even the scriptures, I'm saying that all they are trying to do again is the same age-old concept of making sense of the connection between the human and the divine. And I believe
one second. See, but I can take you to a place in Africa now, and I can prove it to you the different deities that exist. But I mean, I guess you can call it, demonic, juju, and all that kind of stuff. Like that. There's realness that it'll blow your mind. I'm sure you understand that when you go through.
I know this for a fact. Yeah.
But I'm saying, but in your understanding, in your faith, in your belief, you call it demonic, juju, all that kind of stuff, because that's what you see as. That's what it can only be to you. I mean, if I'm saying, but that's what it can only be to you. It can't be.
Yes,
no, I'm saying, but because of your faith.
Yes.
It can't.
So because my understanding of faith is that there are spiritual powers, and not all of them are of God. Not all of them are of His way, and there are.
So you see it as demonic.
There are definitely entities with spiritual powers who have gone their own way and decided to do their own thing.
Okay.
Well, then I do agree that it's very, very important then not to simply take visual examples, things that seem supernatural as an example of God, but one must be discerning between what spiritual experience is really of God.
Do you ever think like, you see, like how Christians will say there's one God. Do you ever think like there might be like
it's not one God,
a God race?
A God race,
like,
as in a race of gods.
Like how there's a human race, like there's a race of gods.
I think there's a race of supernatural beings, but there's only one that I worship, so only one of them is God.
One supreme God.
One supreme God above
basically
the
for
rest.
you.
Yes.
Okay.
But what if wait like a
bro, he's stuck going to Dragon Ball Z, man. I can see his face. I can see his face, man.
No. I was gonna cross over to that where he said there's a multiverse.
I can see him, man. He's like Dragon Ball Z.
That God, that is your one God. There's a God above him.
Yeah, and that's the whole point in worshipping the Most High, is the fact that there is no one above Him. And if you're talking to somebody,
where he's come with where Jaheem's come with the multiverse idea now, meaning like they might like why I've asked whether there's a God race. Let's say like there's a God race now, and Jaheem said there's a multiverse. Each God's got their own versions of. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Each God has their own versions of the multiverse now. Yeah. So let's say each God has their own version of the multiverse now. Yeah. You said you only subscribe to one God.
Yes.
But what if your God, like I said, has a father? Let's say like in Greek mythology, where you've got like
even in Greek mythology, got, like, there's still one at the top,
where you've got like Odin and that, but everyone else might, you know what I mean? Huh?
Odin is Norse mythology.
Norse mythology, yeah. But you get what I'm saying, like Zeus, yeah, where Zeus is the head, but other people might follow this other god, or they might follow that other god.
Yeah, so definitely, when I say that I worship the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, I'm saying I'm worshiping the one who's supreme above all. And yes, some people can make a god, small g, out of a familiar spirit, out of an understanding of a supernatural being. But I worship the one who created heaven and earth, the Almighty, the Alpha and Omega. All of these are descriptions of how He is supreme to everything else that's ever existed. That's my understanding of the divine. And I don't doubt that there are supernatural powers that exist outside of this. I don't doubt that people can make things happen using spiritual power. I just simply decide to choose to worship the one God who sits above them all. That's just how I live my life. And to be honest, one of the reasons why I don't tend to go into a lot of these conversations, what if there's this and what if there's that? What if there's an alternate reality? What if there's one where the Christian Inquisition the Spanish Inquisition never happened, or where the Crusades never happened, or blah, blah, blah. There is always a version of that. But ultimately, what's the purpose here? Is it to get to the point where, because usually when I'm having these conversations, it's right around the time that a man wants to sleep with more women. It's usually that point that he starts going, but is Christianity real though? Like marriage, you know what I'm saying? Like it's right around the time you want to start sleeping with multiple women that we start having this conversation. And that's why I'm like, well, what's the purpose in this conversation here? At the end of the day, right, if it turns out there's a multiverse, blah, 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 even if it turns out that I'm completely wrong, what did it make me do? It made me not kill people, love people, be more integral in my decisions, and raise my family. Like, really and truly, I'm happy. If I got misled into do that, then fine, cool. All right, and I pay 10% of my earnings to the church. Fine, all right.
So with matrix principles now, yeah, let's say like, matrix principles now, yeah, let's say like, when we die, yeah, it might be us using the red pill to check out. So, you know, when people die, let's say like, at a younger age from an accident or something, they might have subconsciously thought, raw, this ain't the real, this is our time. So, you know, like when people are always like worried about death, where they're always like, this person just dying, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I don't have the same.
I agree with you on that.
You get what I'm saying? I don't have the same. Like basically, I don't have the same like emotions where other people like will be like crying for too long, or
I don't think it's the end.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end. So that's why I don't react.
Also,
as
what's your view on what do you think death is?
You're moving on to the next place. I don't think it's just a.
It's heaven.
Yeah, I don't think you just stop existing. I think you carry on to the next plane, but you've bounced from here to the next plane, wherever it is.
I want to get back to the point I was trying to make before, the point I was trying to make, when I asked the question, for some reason you're still not answering the question.
Which one?
The question of when I said that the beginning, we talk about Christianity, we talk about Africa. I said that when we speak about let's say that the grassroots. Right?
Yeah.
Christianity didn't start from Africa. That's what I was trying to make you understand. And you said that that's true.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Cool.
So now I ask you, well, if it didn't start from Africa, what was there in Africa? You said that, well, there must be.
I did answer you.
No. You said there was
I didn't give you the answer you want. Is that what you're saying?
You said there's a higher power, or there's one God.
I think all over the world, everyone stood there and realized that there's something divine, and I need to figure out what it is. Okay. And they all made their version.
See, but that's obviously that's your opinion, right? But now let me tell you the facts, because that's what is obviously we've left. See, with us, right, we tend to leave symbols and so forth, or even one can say scrolls. That's the only I can put it. In my mother tongue, it's a bit different, but you won't understand it. So, but you won't understand it.
Every conversation is like, hey, what do you want to have for dinner? I tell you what, my people, they had a version of food. If you truly understand food, you're not going to understand food if I don't explain it to you. But food was something that my ancestors actually brought out of the ground and put into their bodies and then went back into the ground. It was a cycle. You have to understand. Hey, but do you want pizza though? All right, get me cheese.